All right, thanks so much, Joey. Well, we begin with the latest developments in the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Negotiators from Ukraine and Russia ended a first round of talks with no breakthrough. Both sides have agreed to conduct a second round, quote, soon. That's as attacks inside Ukraine continue. The financial sanctions much of the Western world have levied against Russia are already having major crippling effects on the economy. Lauren Podesta has the latest.
Now in its sixth day, the war between Russia and Ukraine is not slowing. Satellite imagery shows a 40-mile Russian convoy moving closer to Ukraine's capital of Kyiv. More than 500,000 people, many of them elderly and children, have left Ukraine, according to the UN Refugee Agency. This packed bus arrived in Athens overnight. Russians are finding themselves increasingly isolated by tough economic sanctions. The ruble is plummeting. It's worth less now than one U.S. penny. The country's stock exchange remains closed today for a second day to stave off losses. Attempts at diplomacy continue. French President Emmanuel Macron spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin yesterday, pleading with him to stop the attack. President Biden at this time is not engaging with Putin.
We're not ruling it out ever. It just is not the appropriate moment or the moment for the United States president to have a conversation with the president of a country invading a sovereign country.
As images continue to emerge of attacks injuring civilians, the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court says he's launching an investigation into possible war crimes and crimes against humanity.
In the meantime, 24 Jamaican students who on Sunday journeyed to a border crossing in Ukraine to get to Poland are now safely on the other side as the government of Jamaica fully funded their return to the island. Foreign Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith said that the Andrew Holness-led administration has been working feverishly in the aftermath of the escalation of violence in the Eastern European nation. On your screen is a group of Ukrainian refugees arriving in Poland. Johnson-Smith announced that the government has been fully engaged with the Jamaican students and their parents in what are very difficult circumstances. The minister said that the government managed to make arrangements for all of the students to get to Poland, where further arrangements will be made for their return to Jamaica. She said the government will underwrite all costs for the students' transportation and accommodations until they arrive in Jamaica, and there is no loan involved. The students had previously been offered loans by the government for their return flight to the island, an offer that was rejected by some of them. The minister provided an update on their situation Monday night.
By now you'd know that they were safely transported from the border to a hotel in Krakow, where they still are now. The charge is there with them. She met with them earlier and was able to ascertain some of their most immediate needs, and we were able to resource her to go and get some warm clothes and that kind of thing. You know, it's been a very trying time. We will be providing them with a small subsistence so that the personal items that it might be more appropriate for them to get themselves, that they'll be able to secure those. And of course, when they are flying out, if there are delays on the flight out, that they'll be able to deal with food and drink on their way out. So on the matter of flights, we've booked flights through Frankfurt into Montego Bay, and we've arranged transportation from Montego Bay to Kingston for those who need it. We've also liaised with the Ministry of Health to ensure that counseling will be available for those who wish it. Not on spot, but at the time that they might feel best able to process and to have those discussions.
Now, despite the unrest in the Ukraine, most Jamaican students who were attending the university there were hesitant to leave because they were concerned about continuing their studies. Minister Johnson-Smith said her ministry has already begun exploring options to help the students in this area, but nothing has yet been confirmed.
We had engaged UA early in this process. We'll re-engage them to see if there's any possibility at all of accommodation. And we'll also reach out to bilateral partners to see if they have any programs in place which will be seeking to accommodate students who have been disrupted from their studies in Ukraine specifically. There are no guarantees, of course, but there may well be, and we will explore them.
Now, the ministry reported that 4 Jamaican students are still in the Ukraine. 1 student has proceeded to the border with Romania, and that 2 are in a part of the country believed to be a bit more secure, and that 4th student is still in Kharkiv. And switching gears now in Puerto Rico, a Puerto Rican swimmer, Arnaldo Perez, has broken a new world record at a recent competition. Francis Felix spoke with that athlete about his recent competition, his training process, and his goals as he heads into 2022.
Puerto Rico is not only known for swimming in the beaches. We have a multiple times world master champion, Arnaldo Perez, who has dedicated his life to the swimming sport. Early in the morning, we visited Arnaldo at his training pool in Caparra Club in Guaynabo, Puerto Rico, where he gives some hours of training every day before going to his work as executive in the communication industry. Recently, he competed in the bench short pool and made history breaking a mark in the master event of the Olympic Club 1500 in California.
I was back in San Francisco at the end of January for what they call the Olympic Club 1500 meter short course competition. So I was there to try to establish a world record in the 1500 meters freestyle for my age group, and luckily enough for me, I was able to do it. So very happy about that.
How are you feeling the competition?
It was great. I mean, it's a very good competition. The only event that they swim is actually the 1500 meters, so I knew I would have people that would be able to push me along the race. So everything well, actually a little better than I had planned it. Well, this year is an important year because I'm trying to establish at least 5 more world records, hopefully. So now I'm getting ready for May 20th and 21st. I'll be trying to break the 800 and 400 meters world record. So I'm training 5 times a week in the mornings. 3 of those trainings I do with the junior team here, so I have the kids to push me along. And then in August, I will be going to the U.S. Nationals in Richmond, Virginia, and I will try to break the 1500 meter world record there. And then in October, we'll have our local national short course championships at El Natatorio, where I'll be trying to do the 400 and 800 meters short course world records.
What is training every day, coming here, wake up early?
Yeah, I get up in the morning. At the beginning, it is a challenge, but usually, I mean, over time, your body gets used to it. So, and I love training in the mornings. I mean, I get it out first thing, and then I have the rest of the day to do whatever I have to do left. So I much prefer to do it in the mornings.
Through the years, you've been improving. Like, your times are getting better. How you do it?
Well, it's something difficult to explain because it goes against the current. You're supposed to get slower as you age. I mean, I think part of it I say is genetics. I mean, I've been able to keep myself fairly healthy for my age. And again, I put in the works, I put in the work, and I put in the hours to try to make myself better.
One world record is not enough. Arnaldo keeps pushing himself and working hard to achieve his goals. In May will be his next competition where he seeks to break another record. From Guaynabo, Puerto Rico, Francis Felix.
All right, thanks so much, Francis. Well, meantime, the leader of the Turks and Caicos presented his state of address recently. It touched on several of his accomplishments and plans to move the islands forward, but not everybody liked or even agreed with what he had to say. Our One Caribbean News' DeAndre Hamilton reports.
The People's Democratic Movement was not impressed by the State of the State one-year anniversary report delivered by Premier Washington Mizik recently. They are also not impressed that come April, tax on salaries through the National Insurance Board will increase. The opposition party says there is no creativity being employed to find other ways to protect the plan, which is running out of money.
You look at local investment. If you invest into the airport, the government airports, you know you will get a return on the departure tax that will be paid. That $25 million to do the cruise center, you know you will get a return on the head tax. So we are saying as the opposition, why local lucrative investments, why are we not considering that as a government, as a country?
The men met with executives of the NIB, and they also met with the Royal TCI Police about the concerning rate of crime.
All in with the police department, give them everything that they want right now, that they need.
Which is mobile, where you can have a station in an area posted 1 minute, and in the next 10-15 minutes it can be in another area. And what this does is basically it deters criminal activities and crime from happening.
They want government to refrain from the increased tax, which will roll out in a staggered approach over 3 years. And they want to see police funded fully for what is needed to curb crime. The People's Democratic Movement is also calling for a fair living wage and cut downs on customs duty to soften the blow of this radical inflation.
We report everything, but we're not hearing our leaders, the government talk about the supply chain, and that is very disappointing. The cost of living is too high in Turks and Caicos Islands. We have to look at whether minimum wage is the key, the duty concession on items coming in, if we have to adjust it that way.
DeAndre Hamilton reporting.